I'm going to press T to bring up my tool shelf and property shelf here, and then press my full screen button, and then press Tab to go into edit mode. So we can activate the knife tool either by pressing this button here in the extended tools menu, or just by pressing K. And as soon as we do that, we'll see the cursor change into this little knife icon. We'll also notice a huge list of options that we can do with the knife tool, but if you're in need of a simpler way to look at the options available while using the knife tool, first we should press Escape to exit using the knife tool, and then up here in File, if you select the Sensei Format menu and click Hotkey Reference. So you can either navigate through this menu here. You'll see edit mode tools and a whole section devoted just to the knife tool. Or you can just download the PDF if you want and keep it on your computer somewhere. But I'm going to go ahead and X this out and head back over to Blender. If we either press this button or press K, first thing you might notice is that whenever you bring your knife tool icon towards an edge or a vertex point, we have automatic snapping to the edges and vertex points, which is great. This provides us with a great place to start and finish our cuts. If you want to ignore this snapping, you can actually hold S on the keyboard, and this will allow you to drag your knife tool wherever you want, and so you could make your cuts freehand. Most of the time, it's nice to have this on here. With the knife tool, we can make cuts that just go across our mesh. So for instance, I could click here to start at this edge and just, click some random points in here, click on that edge, kind of use this like a line tool as far as I want to go, and click here. If I wanted to confirm that and go ahead and make that cut permanent, I would tap space. Now that cut has been applied to this mesh. If you make a closed circuit cut, that's basically a cut where you complete a shape, then you can actually cut holes directly out of the mesh. If I were to press K and just click and start anywhere in here and make some kind of random cuts like this, and let the knife tool snap back to the original point there, and then press space to finish with that cut, notice that it actually cuts that face right out. There's a lot of different ways in which we can constrain these cuts as well. So if I were to press 1 to go into front view and zoom in on here, so say I started at this point here, but I wanted this cut to go straight down, I can just hold Shift. And if you hold Shift, this will constrain your cut either vertically, horizontally, or diagonally like this. So I could hold Shift and click that straight to the end there, and then press space to confirm that cut. So now I've segmented this side of this cube up to these 3 segments here. Whoops, press Ctrl Z to undo that. So I could press K, click to start a cut here, hold Shift, and just keep holding Shift and create these really geometric shapes here. So this might be kind of a cool way to, create the layout of a floor plan or something like that. Then I could just click back there to confirm that, press space, and that finishes that cut. So we can also constrain our cuts by snapping to the midpoints of edges. While I'm holding Control, this will snap to the center point of any edge that I get close to. Of course, we'll already automatically, even if we're not holding Control, snap to a vertex point or along the edge of somewhere. And if we want to disable that altogether, we can just hold S to temporarily disable any kind of snapping, which allows us to do, some quick freeform kind of cuts. But if we want to go to the exact center of an edge, we can just hold Control. So this is a very useful constrain mechanism as well. You may have noticed that all of the cuts we've made thus far have just occurred on the surface of this cube. We made all these cuts on this side, but if we go around, we see that they didn't cut all the way through. If I press K to bring up my knife tool, so notice down here it says Z cut through off. So if we press Z, this will turn cut through on. Now everything else we've done up to this point, constraining and controlling and stuff, with those options you actually hold the key. However, with the cut through option, we just tap it once, and then so we're kind of in that cut through mode until we tap Z again to turn that off. So for instance, right now it's Z cut through on, so I could click here and then drag this up to here, press space to confirm this cut, and we'll go around and we'll see this cut has gone all the way through our object here. So if I press my full screen button here, then press tab to go into object mode, I'm going to press X to delete all that. I'm going to press 1 to go into front view, and then press Shift A, and under mesh add a plane. And then I'm going to double tap space, which brings up my operator options, basically the last tool you use, the options for that tool, which is the same thing that you'll see here. That's just a faster way to get to it. So I'll double tap space and press align to view, which will align the object I just added. So I'll press S to scale this up. I'm going to go into my utilities folder where I have a reference folder here and press my expand library button. And so I've just got this simple hammer image here. If you are in solid viewport shading and you are in Blender render mode, and you click on an image and drag it onto an object, it will be added to that object. Now, unfortunately, I didn't write this part of the code. This is default Blender behavior. So of course, there's some caveats to getting this to actually show up when you render or when you go into material viewport shading. So first of all, let's press S to scale, middle mouse to constrain to bring this down a little bit so it doesn't look so silly. So what we can do to apply this texture we just dragged onto this plane here is we can press Q, and under material options, you'll see this apply drag and drop, and that's exactly for this situation here. Or you can just press Shift Q without first bringing up the ZB options menu, material options, and do this. So we just want to click that, and that takes a second because that's actually builds cycles nodes for the image as well. So you can switch in and out of cycles with this, and you can begin to paint on this as well. But anyway, so I'm going to click the object mode button here to hop back into object mode, and I'm going to close up my library. Then I'm going to press my full screen button and press 1 to go into front view. So if we press tab to go into edit mode and press K, here's our knife tool. So if we wanted to cut this out, one thing to remember is that whenever we cut out complete shapes, that will actually cut a hole out. So for instance, if I were to click, make some kind of weird shape like this, and then close it up, and then press space, that will cut a hole into that shape. So if I were to do that around the entire hammer, then that would just cut a hole into this plane, leaving the white background. So we don't want to do that. So I'll press Control Z to undo that. But rather, let's sort of cut it out as though we were actually using scissors. So I'll press K, and then I'll click here, and then I'm just going to drag this along these lines here. And say cut that out there. Now I could go ahead and tap space to finish up with this cut here. We can actually add more cuts before exiting the knife tool, which is nice. You can start a new cut by either right clicking or pressing E, or just by double clicking. So that's really just up to you. So I could click here to start a new cut, still while in knife mode. And notice here that my cursor is wanting to stick to the side of this edge because auto snapping is always on. So we can temporarily disable that, of course, just by if we hold S. Notice now that it won't automatically snap to it, so we can get right around this edge how we want to. Then we can pull this up here, do something like that. And so we've got these two cuts here. I could tap space to go ahead and apply those. And I'm already in face selection, so I could select this face, tap X to delete it, select this face, tap X to delete it, and we could press K, do another cut here. Notice it's wanting to stick, so I can hold S to temporarily disable that. Select that, delete that, press K to use the knife tool again, select a line here, delete that, and there you go. And that's a bit of a crude cutout, but I think you get the basic idea. So if I click on my middle mouse to zoom out, I now have this kind of Monty Python-esque hammer cutout, which is kind of cool. Press A to select everything, press E to extrude, and so I've kind of got the base of a hammer. The in-between parts here are not great, so you would want to, work that out in the UV image editor. You could get to there under Edge Tools, pressing Edit UVs. If we switch this from Paint to View mode, we can adjust this UV map. And now that we've actually added mesh to this object, you would probably want to create another UV map, but that's for another tutorial. But right now I could say grab these little points here and pull these in so that this will display better. And so if we press go back, notice that the white lines aren't showing up so much. They are a little bit there, but like I said, that's not really what this particular tutorial is about. I just wanted to show you something fun you can do with the knife tool. The second biggest use that we have for the knife tool, besides using it as a design or editing tool, is to repair mesh. So it's really good at fixing faces and things. So say we were to press tab to go into object mode and tap W a few times to add some smoothing. Of course, when we do this, this mesh bends in really bad ways. So we've talked a bunch about how when you're using subsurface modifiers and smoothing and stuff like that, if your faces are ingons, they are above a 3-sided or 4-sided face, things can get weird and not go well. So if we press tab to go into edit mode, and under display, I'm going to go ahead and turn off cage edit so we can see what the actual outline of this mesh really looks like, independent of the effect of this modifier, which is causing it to smooth and all this stuff. This face along this side here is just one massive ingon. These sides aren't connected at all. So we can see up here that out of a total of 171 edges, that 57 are selected. So this is actually a 57-sided polygon, which is pretty nuts and why things are looking so crazy. So the knife tool is an awesome way to fix this kind of stuff. So if we were to press K, and I could click here and press space, and you'll see immediately as I do this, this shape starts to get more rigid. So I could press K, click here, right click to create a new cut. So I don't have to exit knife mode each time I want to make these cuts. Do something like this, right click. And then say if I were to press space to confirm that, then this starts to regain its shape. So we could press K again, could click here, and just click out into the open, then click onto this edge here, and press space, and press K again, and basically just keep doing this here to give us some more shape. And you can see as I do this, this starts to look better and better. And of course we can click along here, press space to confirm those cuts. To start a new cut, I could either press E or right click, whatever's good, and press space to confirm those. And I could click on this edge here because I don't really need it. It's not really, going to anything. And under our cleanup tools, we could just press dissolve edges, and that would fix that. Here we would want to actually connect these, so we could use the knife tool to draw that to there, right click, click on that, click that, and then press space to confirm those cuts, and so on. So I'm not going to finish fixing up this hammer, but I think you get the basic idea. So I hope you experiment with everything that we talked about today and see what kind of cool stuff you can do and fix with the knife tool, because if you know everything it's capable of doing, it can become an extremely powerful weapon in your Blender arsenal.